going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hashtag Jump, the podcast. This is actually the last episode for this season, so our time together has come to an end. For now, I'm really excited about your future. I'm excited about my future as well. I hope that in watching and listening to this podcast that you've been able to get an idea of what to do in your own life to incorporate these tools and information that we've given on this platform and figure out how to make your own dreams happen, how to bring those things into fruition. The best way I knew to do that was to tell you from my own experience, but to also bring some of my friends in who I knew were doing amazing and outstanding things and to highlight their lives, not to ask too many questions specifically about, well, what did you do or how did this happen, but to really give them a space an opportunity to tell their story so that you could get a sense of the type of people that they were, but to also see where they started and the heights that they had risen to. I know I've mentioned earlier on, success is subjective, and you don't have to have 1 million followers on Instagram and have this massive Facebook following or have to be making all this money to be considered a success at what it is that you want to do. Success is determined by you. It looks like whatever you want it to look like, and the blueprint is yours to design and to construct in order to get you to where you ultimately want to be. And I'm thankful for you guys watching. I'm thankful for my guests who played a big part, a huge part in this podcast, because they have all been people that I've been inspired by, people that I've looked up to, and just really impressed with and motivated by their own individual journeys. So thank you all for being guests on the podcast. And I know this won't be the last time that we all hear from you. I wanted to do this podcast initially because I personally know what it feels like to be stuck. As I said in the introduction video, many videos ago, I felt like I was just all over the place. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Well, I take that back. I knew what I wanted to do, but I had not yet convinced myself that I had everything within my power to do it. I wasn't putting in the maximum effort. I wasn't doing everything that I could do to make those things happen. And when you sit in that situation for a long time and you don't really know where to begin, you start to feel stuck and stagnant, and you feel like that the things that you want in life just aren't going to happen. You know, I had friends and people who were, proud of me, family members who pushed you to, do whatever it is that you want to do. But sometimes when most of the work is coming from you or has to come from you, you have to really soul search and get more in touch with yourself to see exactly what that looks like, to see exactly what those steps are. Yes, people can motivate you all day long, but they won't necessarily know the particulars of what you need to do for yourself in order to further your dream along, in order for you to jump. And it was really a trial by fire effort for me. I didn't have anyone in performance really to look up to in terms of theater, really, or even honestly, even in terms of singing and the arts that I resonated with, that I could connect with, and possibly not necessarily shadow or become a mentee of, but just someone that I could look up to and model myself after. And that might be the same for you. So you will have to start from ground zero and figure out, what does this thing look like for me? What does my dream look like practically every day for me, in terms of putting in some sort of effort every day towards that goal and ultimately achieving it. It looks different for all of us, no matter what it is that we're doing. Even if 10 of us are doing the same thing, it's gonna look different for all 10 of us. And for me, I was just going and learning as I went, and things became more clear to me as I put myself in the path to the path to learn and to come up against different things that I had not encountered before, different ways of thinking, different ways of sharing my gifts and sharing my talent, and also meeting people along the way to sort of confirm those things within me, but also share insight to maybe what I could do, or the possibilities for me and what I wanted to do. Again, I didn't necessarily have the tools or steps to start out with. Those were things that I gained along the way. And those were all things that I have shared with you. I've done a little bit of talking in this podcast, but I know my focus for sure wanted to be to tell my story, but to also share the lives of other people so that you could see it not just from my viewpoint, but the viewpoint and vantage point of others as well, who are doing the same thing or doing other things, making their marks in their respective fields. I also wanted to do this because I didn't want people to feel that they were alone or feel like they were by themselves. I know it's a very, very lonely time when you are trying to reach a goal or achieve a dream, because everybody doesn't necessarily understand. Sometimes when you are putting forth the effort to move towards your goals and dreams, your time is limited. You can't always do all the things that you want to do. And a lot of times people just do not understand what you're going through. I know I've experienced that. And it can be very, very isolating. It can be very, very isolating. And sometimes you feel like you're doing it all by yourself. But I wanted to let you know that that's the furthest thing from the truth. There are so many people out there who are striving for a goal, striving to reach a dream, that are jumping every single day. And we're all at different stages in that process. Many of us are just now starting out. Many of us are in the throes of the dream chase, and some of us are reaching the top of that pinnacle, that mountain of what success looks like for us, really achieving that dream, that thing that we set out to do from the very beginning. And as long as we live, and as long as we are ambitious, as long as we continue to dream, as long as we have goals to reach and things that we want to do, we'll always be in this process. And so the things that I've learned, which have been things that I've shared with you, are all things that were very, very pivotal for me in reaching my goals. I'm not an expert life coach. I don't have any type of psychology degree. I don't have any expertise in trying to tell people what to do aside from my own life experience. And I felt like it was something that people would benefit from. And I hope you have. Many people have inboxed me and text me or called and let me know that they were proud of me in seeing me move throughout my journey over the years and the things that I've wanted to do, and have said, if I know that if you could do it, and I know where, you've come from, the things that you felt about yourself and maybe not feeling like you could do it, and just the level that you started on, that I could do it too. And that has meant the world to me for people to say that. And it lets me know that this effort, this work that I've been doing in terms of hashtag Jump the Podcast, has not been in vain. There's so much power in sharing your story. I think that is one last thing that I really want to highlight in this podcast, is the power of transparency. We live in a very highly technological society. Everyone's always on social media. Everyone's always on the internet in some shape or form. And there's so much stimulation out there. And it's easy to get caught up in the optics of things. I had a friend say one time in one of her lives that all we see is the highlight reel of people's lives. I think very rarely people will share the bad. There are some times when people do, but if people were really, really transparent about their journeys and the things that they encountered on the way to achieving their dream while they're jumping, we would be shocked. And not only would we be shocked, I feel like we would feel okay, because we would then know that people are much more relatable than what they make themselves out to be on social media. And a lot of what we see, I don't want to say it's a facade, but it's not the full story. We don't have the full glimpse into this person's life and what it really took for them to get where they are. By all means, celebrate on Facebook and Instagram and post that picture and that video and that reel and all of that. But at the same time, there's so much empowerment, not for yourself, but for other people, when they see the length from which you've came, when they've seen the road that you've traveled. And it gives you a voice. Not only can they see that and be inspired, but it does wonders for myself and keeps me going when I see where I came from and where I am now, the things that I've learned, the growth that I've experienced, and the things that I've encountered along the way. It's amazing to see how far we can stretch ourselves and grow once we put ourselves in this position to jump and to follow our dreams and really tackle all those obstacles that come along the way, but doing it with a positive mindset, and with joy. Joy for the journey, just being happy and excited to really be on the path of doing what we want to do. Because I think getting started is one of the biggest obstacles for people, and it can keep you in the same position. Again, which is another reason why I wanted to do this podcast, because I knew someone would be able to get something from me, something from some of the guests that were on the show, or just be motivated and inspired to do something. I know that is a gift that I have specifically, and a calling for me is to inspire and motivate and uplift people. And it's something that I love doing. I love just being around people. I love talking to people, and anything that I can do to help them along their journey, especially when they think enough of me to even ask. I definitely want to make sure that I'm available, and just being as transparent about the journey that I've been on as I can, and letting them know that they're not alone, and that you too can do it. It takes hard work and effort, but it's not an impossible task. It's not an impossible journey. And I think that we think that it is, but it just takes a different way of thinking. It takes great planning, proper planning, and again, just having a joy of doing the work. I've said it earlier on that this is something that we will never stop doing. As long as we have a dream, we will never, ever stop doing the work. As long as we're living, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be, chasing a dream. We will never stop working. And as it relates to my dreams and goals and aspirations, I will never stop working for those things. I now know that it's something that I will be doing for the rest of my life, but I have a better attitude about it. And you should too. I think there are many things out there for all of us, but it's a matter of application. What are we willing to do? What are we willing to go through in order to achieve? And again, all of that is totally up to you. Your success is something that is subjective, but it can look like anything we want it to look like. And that's very empowering, for me, because it gives me the courage to just do what's in my heart and what I feel. There's a freedom in that, and then there is so much power in that, because no one gets you anywhere else. They won't get Frederick from anywhere else but Frederick. Tony's behind the camera. They won't get Tony from anywhere else but Tony. You have to be willing to put forth the best version of yourself possible that you can. And again, all of that takes work, and none of anything that I've ever done, and I definitely will not diminish what I've done in terms of grandeur and all of that. It's not on a the biggest level that I want it to be on right now. But I've made great strides, and I think that we have to celebrate those things when we do make meet those milestones and check those things off of the checklist, as I've said before in this podcast, and really celebrate ourselves. This work isn't for the faint of heart. It's not something that will come easy, and it takes time. It just does. You know, doing the work is a daunting task, and it's almost never pleasant. But I'm hopeful that you've gained some sort of information in this podcast that will help you do that. Even I think watching this podcast was doing the work. Creating this podcast for me was doing the work. You know, and iron sharpens iron. I I hope that I have been helpful in saying something to you, motivating you, as well as my guests. I hope that they've said something to inspire you and really push you along the way. But ultimately, the work is yours. It's on you to do. No one can, um, grab you by the hand, force you to do anything. I saw um, a reel on Instagram, and I saved it. And it's something that I look at often. It was like a voice sort of a thing that I've seen. I think you know how on TikTok all these people do the different their videos, but it's like the same little voiceover. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't really know how they do it, but I saw one on Instagram, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the podcast episodes as well, that the voiceover basically said no one's coming. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to motivate you. No one's coming to tell you what you need to do. And that's true. I hear people all the time, and this isn't any shot to anybody who has to have this, but people are like, I need a workout partner. I need this. I need that. And I understand the accountability that comes with that, with having a partner that you're afforded when you have someone that is truly motivating you, but that has to be the intent. For me, it wouldn't be wise for me to have, a workout partner, because I'm so laser focused at what I'm doing. I'm just so self motivated and self disciplined that if anybody were to accompany me, it would really slow me down. And I don't have time to help anybody do, learn different, fix your form and all this other type of stuff. That's just me. I'm not saying don't get an accountability partner, for a workout. I'm just using this as an example. No one's going to come and make you do what you need to do, because people will come and help. When they see that you're helping yourself and people believe in you and they see what you're doing, people will come to help you. But no one is going to force you to do what it is that you want to do. And that is one of the biggest things that I see in some people's lives, or people that have reached out to me. There are just people who are not as self-disciplined as I am. It doesn't make me any better of a person, but I know that there are certain things that we all have to work on, certain muscles that we have to flex for them to get bigger in order for us to move along a lot faster on our journey. We all have them. Mine sometimes has been confidence, just believing that I could do something, or that there are things out there for me, or just stepping into new situations and not feeling defeated and having an attitude of negativity or pessimism. That was something that I had to get accustomed to sort of alleviating, or really just getting rid of totally, honestly. And we all have those things. We have those things that will keep us from getting started. We have things that will keep us stuck in the mud. And I hope that you've been able to see yourself grow as you've watched this podcast. I hope that you have been able to see a difference in your life, that you've been able to incorporate the things that I've posted on Instagram, or the things that you see on the YouTube channel. I hope that you've been able to jump with success, whatever that looks like for you. So again, I want to thank you for watching, for being a part of this journey. For me, this was a very new experience for me, and I know the team and I have learned a lot in what well, I know me, I have personally. I know McLean Media, Tony's had a podcast before, but I know that even then he still learned some things. But we've all collectively learned some things in the creation of this process, of creating this podcast and putting it all together and seeing what it actually looks like when we started to set things up. And actually, when I got in front of the camera, how I wanted to do some things differently, or knowing that I need to be a little bit more succinct in the things that I'm saying and to the point. And this is a learning experience for me. This is a jump in itself. And I thank you for watching this process. I thank you for being a part of this process. And this won't be the last time. I look forward to starting season 2 of this podcast very, very soon, and continuing to help motivate you and inspire you and prepare you for your jumps, preparing you for tackling those new goals, creating those new plans of actions for whatever your aspirations and desires are, really helping you to propel you forward and go even higher and higher in your dreams. And I'm thankful that you get something out of this, that you decided to watch, and that you've subscribed, and that you have trusted me and believe that I could say something, or again, my guest could say something that would help you in your journey. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see the good things, the great things that you're going to do in the future. So for the last time, this is Frederick with #Jump, the podcast, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, please make sure to follow, like, subscribe, comment, and share all things #Jump, the podcast.